The war had ended, but the wind still howled through the scorched pines of Appomattox like a ghost, not yet convinced of its death. April 1865 had bled Virginia gray, and in that twilight, RobertELee rode not as a general, but as a man who had once believed he could bind the bones of a fractured country with honor. He no longer wore the gleaming sash or the polished sword. They lay sheathed in memory now. The road to Arlington, his family estate turned Union graveyard, was long behind him. He wandered instead toward Lexington, where quiet stone buildings waited to cradle his fading days. Yet the land whispered his name with reverence and reproach, and the earth beneath the magnolia trees still trembled with the weight of what had been done. The town watched him arrive, not with celebration, but with the eerie silence that falls before a thunderclap. Children stared. Women clutched shawls tighter. Men, veterans now, nodded with restrained memory. Some saw a hero, the last knight of a cause that had claimed divinity. Others saw the architect of their ruin. At Washington College, where he would soon preside as president, the halls echoed with young voices who had yet to see war. To them, Lee was a figure from fable, distant, carved in marble. But behind his silver beard and military bearing was a man troubled by the weight of myth, desperate to bury the lie of glory that too many were eager to exhume. At night, he walked beneath the moonlight along the Maury River. The waters sang soft elegies, and Lee, in solitude, spoke to no one and everyone. He thought of his wife, her hands crippled by rheumatism, writing him letters filled with scripture and longing. He thought of his daughter, forever in mourning black, and of the slaves who once called him master, with voices that concealed fire. He wrote often in those final years, not letters of vindication, but quiet missives, on education, on humility, on peace. He refused to speak of battlefields or tactics, dodged questions about the grandeur of defeat. He seemed haunted by the very image the South clung to, as though the bronze statues being cast in his likeness were tombstones for a man still breathing. It was said he walked slowly, like someone always listening for the sound of approaching hoofbeats. His dreams were not shared, but once in a letter never sent, he wrote, "I only ask that we forgive what we must, and remember only what would teach us to weep." The day he died, a storm cracked open the sky. Rain fell heavy on Lexington, and the river surged like it did in spring. His body lay still, wrapped in the Confederate gray he'd tried to shed but never could. The town mourned him with solemn processions, candles flickering like eyes unwilling to close. In the years that followed, the myth of RobertELee grew larger than the man who bore it. Statues rose in cities he'd never seen, etched with words he never uttered. His legacy was carved from marble and sentiment, painted with nostalgia and blindness. But beneath the stone and the sermons, a man once stood beneath a magnolia tree, head bowed, asking the wind if dignity could survive defeat. And the wind answered, not with words, but with silence.